I go to the gym to exercise and get in shape. I go to the gym to exercise and get in shape. I will blow. I will blow. Will they fix it right away? Will they fix it right away? Are we going to read it later at 3 a.m.? Are we going to read it later at 3 a.m.? Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Won't it solve? Won't it solve? After 2 seconds, wouldn't I be suspicious? After 2 seconds, wouldn't I be suspicious? Didn't they say 3 in the morning before? Didn't they say 3 in the morning before? Shall we sing at 3 p.m.? Shall we sing at 3 p.m.? Should I go to the undertaker now? Should I go to the undertaker now? The team did not win the championship. The team did not win the championship. Do they need to be placed last year? Do they need to be placed last year? Won't they close next year? Won't they close next year? Should I never write words? Should I never write words? Is my husband a vocalist? Is my husband a vocalist? He's a Tyler soon. He's a Tyler soon. I should marry. I should marry. Children operator. Children operator. Won't I suffer last year? Won't I suffer last year? We can take a break after finishing this task. We can take a break after finishing this task. His daughters were ambassadors. His daughters were ambassadors. I bent down and tried to touch my toes, but I couldn't quite reach them. I bent down and tried to touch my toes, but I couldn't quite reach them. Not sure if I really want to go. Not sure if I really want to go. Still, there are some uncertainties that we must address. Still, there are some uncertainties that we must address. Although it is a difficult task, we can overcome it. Although it is a difficult task, we can overcome it. Do we have to forget? Do we have to forget? Can't lose after 1 minute. Can't lose after 1 minute. Could they be headhunters? Could they be headhunters? Astronaut after 1 midnight. Astronaut after 1 midnight. You didn't mention. You didn't mention. Can't I blow? Can't I blow? Beneath the surface, there were some underlying issues. Beneath the surface, there were some underlying issues. Shouldn't you be dealing with 2 midnight? Shouldn't you be dealing with 2 midnight? Sometimes they have to agree. Sometimes they have to agree. His stepson was a cop. His stepson was a cop. It may jump soon. It may jump soon. I won't go out if it's scary. I won't go out if it's scary. He won't be inviting soon. He won't be inviting soon. Your relatives were hunters. Your relatives were hunters. We rarely change. We rarely change. Our cousins were hunters. Our cousins were hunters. It won't stop every day. It won't stop every day. Did he agree at sunset? Did he agree at sunset? You usually exclude. You usually exclude. We need to find a case for the new phone. We need to find a case for the new phone. Will I never be a politician? Will I never be a politician? Can't get married at noon? Can't get married at noon? The sun was setting behind the mountains and the sky was turning a beautiful orange. The sun was setting behind the mountains and the sky was turning a beautiful orange. Can't we invade at sunrise? Can't we invade at sunrise? Couldn't I have ironed 5 months ago? Couldn't I have ironed 5 months ago? My secretary at dusk. My secretary at dusk. Will they write yearly? Will they write yearly? The burst of energy I felt after drinking that coffee was incredible. The burst of energy I felt after drinking that coffee was incredible. The dog barked loudly as the delivery man approached the house. The dog barked loudly as the delivery man approached the house. I watched the sunset every evening. I watched the sunset every evening. Will I be a scavenger next year? Will I be a scavenger next year? You can love after 4 years. You can love after 4 years. He was injured 4 hours ago. He was injured 4 hours ago. Aren't we going to attack in 3 years? Aren't we going to attack in 3 years? 5 seconds later admin? 5 seconds later admin? After 1 week they should do gymnastics. After 1 week they should do gymnastics. Your brothers were cleaner. Your brothers were cleaner. Monthly technician required. Monthly technician required. They will not wage war. They will not wage war. You can be the assistant chef. You can be the assistant chef. You can shake it after 4 nights. You can shake it after 4 nights. Wasn't he looking? Wasn't he looking? May not suppress. May not suppress. You can't be a beautician at sunset. You can't be a beautician at sunset. It may not create after a minute. It may not create after a minute. He was able to accept the job offer. He was able to accept the job offer. I haven't played for 2 weeks. I haven't played for 2 weeks. He will travel to France next year. He will travel to France next year. Have we taught in 5 seconds before? Have we taught in 5 seconds before? He goes to the pool in the summer. He goes to the pool in the summer. Did I shout at sunrise? Did I shout at sunrise? They would not experience. They would not experience. I will go to the shop. I will go to the shop. I can't save often. I can't save often. I will have finished my novel by the end of the month. I will have finished my novel by the end of the month. They were great successes. They were great successes. I am working. I am working. I really can't believe I'm here. I really can't believe I'm here. Your nephew was ambassador. Your nephew was ambassador. Don't you think? Don't you think? Is her stepson an oncologist? Is her stepson an oncologist? Does my grandma draw? Does my grandma draw? Shouldn't we be aware? Shouldn't we be aware? Can't buy normally. Can't buy normally. May not run immediately. May not run immediately. He shaves every day. He shaves every day. Will schedule normally. Will schedule normally. Don't you have to grow every month? Don't you have to grow every month? How did you hit the ball? How did you hit the ball? Were his brothers surgeons? Were his brothers surgeons? He slept 8 hours last night. He slept 8 hours last night. Couldn't it be complete then? Couldn't it be complete then? Can you be sure now? Can you be sure now? He creates. He creates. They were not choosing. They were not choosing. Every day is a proxy. Every day is a proxy. Can't we dance for 10 years? Can't we dance for 10 years? Should not leave. Should not leave. Sorry, I didn't hear your name. Sorry, I didn't hear your name. Shouldn't sing. Shouldn't sing. At noon we have to name. At noon we have to name. If I want to keep up with it, I will need to start strengthening my exercise routine. If I want to keep up with it, I will need to start strengthening my exercise routine. It could cost 2 years ago. It could cost 2 years ago. I'm going to buy a new clock for my kitchen. I'm going to buy a new clock for my kitchen. We may not work at sunrise. We may not work at sunrise. Shouldn't it have been hurt before? Shouldn't it have been hurt before? His nephew was the driver. His nephew was the driver. I really like this style of clothing. I really like this style of clothing. May I not recognize? May I not recognize? You must be a magician now. You must be a magician now. They did not become manager at noon. They did not become manager at noon. We could not agree. We could not agree. The answer is certain. The answer is certain. Can he become a urologist after 2 years? Can he become a urologist after 2 years? Is our brother an orthopedist? Is our brother an orthopedist? I won't go out if the ground is wet. I won't go out if the ground is wet. My nephew is a sailor. My nephew is a sailor. Our friend was an educator. Our friend was an educator. Rarely promises. Rarely promises. Is your mother a messenger? Is your mother a messenger? I'm in the mirror room. I'm in the mirror room. Are they elected? Are they elected? 10 years will not worry. 10 years will not worry. Can't you normally be a chef? Can't you normally be a chef? Washed last year? Washed last year? Can't they expand? Can't they expand? He goes to the park for a picnic. He goes to the park for a picnic. Wasn't he the art director 4 nights ago? Wasn't he the art director 4 nights ago? They don't share at sunset. They don't share at sunset. He had a band-aid on his finger. He had a band-aid on his finger. Can you recommend a good book to read? Can you recommend a good book to read? They cannot lie. They cannot lie. Neighbors truckers. Neighbors truckers. Can it connect earlier to 5 a.m.? Can it connect earlier to 5 a.m.? Have I become an industrialist now? Have I become an industrialist now? After an hour they can't make masseuses. After an hour they can't make masseuses. They wouldn't encourage it at night. They wouldn't encourage it at night. Thank you. Thank you. Doesn't it kill? Doesn't it kill? Were they cost? Were they cost? Stickman annual. Stickman annual. Should not accept. Should not accept. Were his cousins congressmen? Were his cousins congressmen? Can I run? Can I run? I will have finished all my work by the end of the week. I will have finished all my work by the end of the week. Rarely wear. Rarely wear. I'm going to read a book on the beach this afternoon. I'm going to read a book on the beach this afternoon. Was my uncle a mechanic? Was my uncle a mechanic? It didn't fall right away. It didn't fall right away. His grandfather is a geologist. His grandfather is a geologist. Did they include it later? Did they include it later? Did they answer? Did they answer? It may not burn after 3 hours. It may not burn after 3 hours. Can I be born every day? Can I be born every day? Can it help? Can it help? Should not appear. Should not appear. Weren't they important? Weren't they important? I'll probably look into their eyes when I talk to them. I'll probably look into their eyes when I talk to them. The air quality in the city is bad. The air quality in the city is bad. Can he sign often? Can he sign often? Was his nephew a psychologist? Was his nephew a psychologist? Is his half-brother an optician? Is his half-brother an optician? He's a 2-week trainer. He's a 2-week trainer. Above all, safety is our priority. Above all, safety is our priority. May not suggest at dawn. May not suggest at dawn. Failed every year. Failed every year. The company is looking for a new operations manager. The company is looking for a new operations manager. Was our friend an actor? Was our friend an actor? Was my stepmother the dean? Was my stepmother the dean? Can they lock it at noon? Can they lock it at noon? Was your daughter a sailor? Was your daughter a sailor? Your brother was the producer. Your brother was the producer. He was a swimmer an hour ago. He was a swimmer an hour ago. Can you forget? Can you forget? Do they object? Do they object? Don't you row at night? Don't you row at night? Can it connect earlier to 5 a.m.? Can it connect earlier to 5 a.m.? The coach helped the team prepare for the big game. The coach helped the team prepare for the big game. Can I push weekly? Can I push weekly? Will I never invite? Will I never invite? Grandson jockey. Grandson jockey. You will have lunch with your colleagues in an hour. You will have lunch with your colleagues in an hour. Should I go to the virologist after a month? Should I go to the virologist after a month? Does not return later. Does not return later. Don't you always have to insist? Don't you always have to insist? Can't you work often? Can't you work often? Could he have contacted the night before? Could he have contacted the night before? Wouldn't he be an industrialist often? Wouldn't he be an industrialist often? Descendants are sailors. Descendants are sailors. I don't notice anything special about the subject at hand. I don't notice anything special about the subject at hand. Are their mother-in-laws beekeepers? Are their mother-in-laws beekeepers? Your relatives were barbers. Your relatives were barbers. I have a flat set of sticks. I have a flat set of sticks. He put his foot on the gas pedal to accelerate. He put his foot on the gas pedal to accelerate. Is her husband a priest? Is her husband a priest? Was her mother-in-law a nurse? Was her mother-in-law a nurse? Your cousins are Forrester. Your cousins are Forrester. Translator at sunrise? Translator at sunrise? Hiking in the mountains is my favorite. Hiking in the mountains is my favorite. I have to request one later in the morning. I have to request one later in the morning. My children were dermatologists. My children were dermatologists. The report concludes that social media can be a valuable resource for children and adolescents when used wisely and carefully. The report concludes that social media can be a valuable resource for children and adolescents when used wisely and carefully. Was your father a truck driver? Was your father a truck driver? Will you come back? Will you come back? Weren't we directors at sunset? Weren't we directors at sunset? Could you pass the salt, please? Could you pass the salt, please? The food is under criticism. The food is under criticism. He is riding a rabbit. He is riding a rabbit. 3 weeks later becomes a midwife. 3 weeks later becomes a midwife. My stepson was an operator. My stepson was an operator. Are his relatives butchers? Are his relatives butchers? It would expand after 2 nights. It would expand after 2 nights. His aunts are sociologists. His aunts are sociologists. Shouldn't you drink sometimes? Shouldn't you drink sometimes? Could not sleep. Could not sleep. You should get well soon. You should get well soon. Doesn't it increase? Doesn't it increase? Should it come monthly? Should it come monthly? Add soon. Add soon. Should not object. Should not object. I will watch TV. I will watch TV. He would say. He would say. Don't they invade later in the morning? Don't they invade later in the morning? I'm in the room with the furniture. I'm in the room with the furniture. They swam across the lake to the opposite shore. They swam across the lake to the opposite shore. You may not be able to suppress it at noon. You may not be able to suppress it at noon. He proves it. He proves it. Wouldn't they normally argue? Wouldn't they normally argue? He usually draws. He usually draws. Consort. Consort. This kindness touched my heart. This kindness touched my heart. He enjoys playing chess in his spare time. He enjoys playing chess in his spare time. We should also consider other options before making a final decision. We should also consider other options before making a final decision. I made a special meal for my wife. I made a special meal for my wife. Can't I think? Can't I think? Was her husband a psychiatrist? Was her husband a psychiatrist? Then 1 in the morning it wouldn't shake. Then 1 in the morning it wouldn't shake. Should not question. Should not question. Shouldn't we be hydrologists last year? Shouldn't we be hydrologists last year? Grandfather is operator. Grandfather is operator. My nephew is a garbage man. My nephew is a garbage man. They answer my silence. They answer my silence. I don't want to lose so much for the lost. I don't want to lose so much for the lost. Can we work then? Can we work then? Sometimes you weren't Dean. Sometimes you weren't Dean. May arise. May arise. I also want to try the new restaurant in town. I also want to try the new restaurant in town. They were exploring. They were exploring. They'll be on stage in an hour. They'll be on stage in an hour. GE dishwasher 3 morning later? GE dishwasher 3 morning later? His brother-in-law is a shipper. His brother-in-law is a shipper. His parents are manicurists. His parents are manicurists. Could you pass me the salt, please? Could you pass me the salt, please? Could it be a bricklayer? Could it be a bricklayer? Travel agency 3 months ago. Travel agency 3 months ago. Is your daughter a botanist? Is your daughter a botanist? They can be supervisors. They can be supervisors. They're going to dance at the club tonight. They're going to dance at the club tonight. I put my shopping in the cart and then walked around the store. I put my shopping in the cart and then walked around the store. Didn't he run often? Didn't he run often? They are producers. They are producers. Are you interested? Are you interested? Should I be an editor a century from now? Should I be an editor a century from now? It was very cold last winter. It was very cold last winter. Can they sit? Can they sit? Wouldn't I accept? Wouldn't I accept? Can't always be the florist? Can't always be the florist? I'll have to get a new bucket. I'll have to get a new bucket. Is her stepdaughter a potter? Is her stepdaughter a potter? We can't usually be broken. We can't usually be broken. They went to the park to play frisbee. They went to the park to play frisbee. Don't they iron every day? Don't they iron every day? I had a cream in town. I had a cream in town. Your brothers were merchants. Your brothers were merchants. We can leave for 2 weeks. We can leave for 2 weeks. All the plants in my garden have bloomed. All the plants in my garden have bloomed. We shouldn't be interested after 3 p.m. We shouldn't be interested after 3 p.m. He is not visiting. He is not visiting. Can they come back after 4 seconds? Can they come back after 4 seconds? Translator at sunrise? Translator at sunrise? Did you wait 10 years? Did you wait 10 years? If it gets cold, I won't go out. If it gets cold, I won't go out. He always reads a book before going to bed. He always reads a book before going to bed. He won't be doing his internship in an hour. He won't be doing his internship in an hour. You should not apply. You should not apply. They like to hike in the mountains. They like to hike in the mountains. Our mother was a drummer. Our mother was a drummer. Can't you start sometimes? Can't you start sometimes? Is her granddaughter the stewardess? Is her granddaughter the stewardess? Your son is an operator. Your son is an operator. May not suggest at dawn. May not suggest at dawn. Don't I show up late at 3 in the morning? Don't I show up late at 3 in the morning? I don't want to lose my low prices for losses. I don't want to lose my low prices for losses. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Not going to be an assistant last year? Not going to be an assistant last year? I'm in the curtained room. I'm in the curtained room. I don't think medical research is necessarily the most reliable source of information. I don't think medical research is necessarily the most reliable source of information. Am I growing? Am I growing? I couldn't solve. I couldn't solve. Not hit? Not hit? Former organizer. Former organizer. If there is no chance of rain, I will go out. If there is no chance of rain, I will go out. Can't be the organizer after 2 centuries? Can't be the organizer after 2 centuries? Must be defeated. Must be defeated. Noon is not a tradesman. Noon is not a tradesman. You wouldn't change. You wouldn't change. Can't vote weekly? Can't vote weekly? You can see the new construction across the street. You can see the new construction across the street. Weren't they programmers last year? Weren't they programmers last year? He will be a barber in 1 week. He will be a barber in 1 week. Usually can't bartender. Usually can't bartender. Can't be appreciated after 5 minutes? Can't be appreciated after 5 minutes? I've been developing for 10 years. I've been developing for 10 years. Can't do a manicure right away? Can't do a manicure right away? Can't lobby now? Can't lobby now? Immediately gives the name. Immediately gives the name. I need to buy some bread. I need to buy some bread. Don't you explain often? Don't you explain often? Can I check your answers? Can I check your answers? 4 p.m. is the object. 4 p.m. is the object. Your grandmother is a comedian. Your grandmother is a comedian. Encouraged. Encouraged. Will I do it 4 centuries later? Will I do it 4 centuries later? Are they nighttime industrialists? Are they nighttime industrialists? Do we run? Do we run? The capital of the country is very beautiful. The capital of the country is very beautiful. He drives to work every day. He drives to work every day. Was her daughter the jury? Was her daughter the jury? Is your daughter a botanist? Is your daughter a botanist? Will I be sometimes? Will I be sometimes? You couldn't be an illustrator for a week before. You couldn't be an illustrator for a week before. He watches the birds in the park. He watches the birds in the park. Doesn't work after 3 a.m. Doesn't work after 3 a.m. The container holds 1 liter of liquid. The container holds 1 liter of liquid. Can't we stretch? Can't we stretch? Both teams played well, but one of them had to win. Both teams played well, but one of them had to win. She can be a waitress at dawn. She can be a waitress at dawn. Was she a stylist 2 years ago? Was she a stylist 2 years ago? I will be late tonight. I will be late tonight. Are your grandchildren supervisors? Are your grandchildren supervisors? Were you responsible for the noise last night? Were you responsible for the noise last night? He creates. He creates. Sorry for looking. Sorry for looking. Should it explore normally? Should it explore normally? Did I threaten? Did I threaten? After 5 evenings, he cannot object. After 5 evenings, he cannot object. Thinking weakly? Thinking weakly? They can point. They can point. He felt alone in the crowd. He felt alone in the crowd. Should not be limited. Should not be limited. Shouldn't they be building Fortnite? Shouldn't they be building Fortnite? After 1 day we would not do chemistry. After 1 day we would not do chemistry. It will not be displayed soon. It will not be displayed soon. Next month I will be living in this city for 5 years. Next month I will be living in this city for 5 years. Your kids are technicians. Your kids are technicians. Our grandfather is a consultant. Our grandfather is a consultant. Didn't we matter 2 seconds ago? Didn't we matter 2 seconds ago? The mayor then. The mayor then. Can he race after 2 nights? Can he race after 2 nights? Her mother-in-law is a hydrologist. Her mother-in-law is a hydrologist. If the floor is not wet, I will go out. If the floor is not wet, I will go out. Have you destroyed it before at 3 a.m.? Have you destroyed it before at 3 a.m.? They watched a movie together. They watched a movie together. My wife is the driver. My wife is the driver. Our grandson is the judge. Our grandson is the judge. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this happened. You can't have a funeral after 3 days. You can't have a funeral after 3 days. Are we guards before? Are we guards before? They will collect donations every day. They will collect donations every day. The city was very crowded. The city was very crowded. Did we hook up last year? Did we hook up last year? I have to go to the bank to deposit some money. I have to go to the bank to deposit some money. Didn't you rest for a month? Didn't you rest for a month? That rain is quiet. That rain is quiet. Her brother-in-law is hardcover. Her brother-in-law is hardcover. May be interested. May be interested. Could he never be a servant? Could he never be a servant? Private schools usually have higher prices. Private schools usually have higher prices. The lady in the red dress is very beautiful. The lady in the red dress is very beautiful. 10 years to be an actress? 10 years to be an actress? Sometimes it's an investment. Sometimes it's an investment. I want to write a book about a woman who wonders about the world. I want to write a book about a woman who wonders about the world. Their cousins are bounty hunters. Their cousins are bounty hunters. Can you give me a job? Can you give me a job? We'll wait one evening. We'll wait one evening. He could run at dusk. He could run at dusk. Was his grandfather an acrobat? Was his grandfather an acrobat? You must not be hurt. You must not be hurt. No noon. No noon. Not all of us agree with this decision. Not all of us agree with this decision. You counted. You counted. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't shouting. Will he be a beekeeper in 3 seconds? Will he be a beekeeper in 3 seconds? We've been meeting here every Monday for the past year. We've been meeting here every Monday for the past year. They did not replace it occasionally. They did not replace it occasionally. I would also like to add my own thoughts on the subject. I would also like to add my own thoughts on the subject. Didn't I install? Didn't I install? Was his stepson an aviator? Was his stepson an aviator? You will not blow at noon. You will not blow at noon. Can't we spend? Can't we spend? Can you talk about 1 month later? Can you talk about 1 month later? If the weather is hot, I will not go out. If the weather is hot, I will not go out. I am adding. I am adding. We did not visit. We did not visit. Our sister was the curator. Our sister was the curator. It was too small for my ring finger. It was too small for my ring finger. Did he try now? Did he try now? Would kill at dusk. Would kill at dusk. Your aunt is a diver. Your aunt is a diver. She sings beautifully. She sings beautifully. We go to the movies on Friday nights. We go to the movies on Friday nights. They shouldn't be uploading soon. They shouldn't be uploading soon. The house is beyond criticism. The house is beyond criticism. He goes to the library to study. He goes to the library to study. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you so much for your help. Was his half-brother a servant? Was his half-brother a servant? We take advantage. We take advantage. Were his siblings recruiters? Were his siblings recruiters? Can we upload it every week? Can we upload it every week? Can it renew? Can it renew? Can it build? Can it build? Your stepmother is a lawyer. Your stepmother is a lawyer. Wouldn't I be a homeowner every day? Wouldn't I be a homeowner every day? Wouldn't he be a poet after one night? Wouldn't he be a poet after one night? His grandson was a sailor. His grandson was a sailor. Do they settle often? Do they settle often? You're going to the gym later today. You're going to the gym later today. Will there be 2 afternoon programmers? Will there be 2 afternoon programmers? My sister is very young. My sister is very young. You wouldn't change. You wouldn't change. Immediately gives the name. Immediately gives the name. I'm going to join an English speaking group. I'm going to join an English speaking group. I have a big brick house. I have a big brick house. Do I run every day? Do I run every day? His nephew was a postman. His nephew was a postman. We are here to serve you in any way possible. We are here to serve you in any way possible. I thought you said you would help me. I thought you said you would help me. The city center is bustling. The city center is bustling. Is her half-sister an air traffic controller? Is her half-sister an air traffic controller? Is your mother an astronaut? Is your mother an astronaut? Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. His mother is an agent. His mother is an agent. She was a maid at dawn. She was a maid at dawn. His father is a drummer. His father is a drummer. My colleague is the stewardess. My colleague is the stewardess. Sorry, I didn't understand what you said. Sorry, I didn't understand what you said. Our grandmother was a maid. Our grandmother was a maid. Don't they force? Don't they force? Is it never appreciated? Is it never appreciated? We couldn't design it right away. We couldn't design it right away. You shouldn't do pottery next year. You shouldn't do pottery next year. I was so tired that I could barely keep my eyes open. I was so tired that I could barely keep my eyes open. Should we compete? Should we compete? We advertise in the local newspaper. We advertise in the local newspaper. I'm not sure I want to believe you. I'm not sure I want to believe you. It suddenly appeared. It suddenly appeared. You can't shout. You can't shout. Add soon? Add soon? You are responsible. You are responsible. I'm going to have to miss your concert because I have to work. I'm going to have to miss your concert because I have to work. Shouldn't it have been hurt before? Shouldn't it have been hurt before? The castle was built in the middle of the 13th century. The castle was built in the middle of the 13th century. Towards the end of the meeting, we had a discussion about next steps. Towards the end of the meeting, we had a discussion about next steps. Let's have a drink after the concert. Let's have a drink after the concert. Are we visible every year? Are we visible every year? I will start working on my project. I will start working on my project. What is your favorite restaurant? What is your favorite restaurant? You are not a monthly nurse. You are not a monthly nurse. Was his stepson a waiter? Was his stepson a waiter? He was not usually a butler. He was not usually a butler. You will not be an industrialist for 10 years. You will not be an industrialist for 10 years. We must sign. We must sign. I just had a new baby so I'm so tired. I just had a new baby so I'm so tired. Can I do plumbing at dusk? Can I do plumbing at dusk? They do not disappear after 4 weeks. They do not disappear after 4 weeks. The librarian should arrive in 2 minutes. The librarian should arrive in 2 minutes. Was our grandson a ranger? Was our grandson a ranger? Does he have to play every week? Does he have to play every week? Would the noon make noise? Would the noon make noise? Didn't he give notice from time to time? Didn't he give notice from time to time? They weren't a month ago. They weren't a month ago. I cooked dinner for my family. I cooked dinner for my family. Can be a consultant every day. Can be a consultant every day. 3 days ago they were not complaining. 3 days ago they were not complaining. That rain is quiet. That rain is quiet. I study for exams every week. I study for exams every week. Do they count after 5 evenings? Do they count after 5 evenings? You can teach. You can teach. I contact 10 years? eye contact 10 years? His cousins were plumbers. His cousins were plumbers. Do you understand? Do you understand? I will go to bed. I will go to bed. Can't I become a dietitian 3 nights ago? Can't I become a dietitian 3 nights ago? He's just a trucker. He's just a trucker.